Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids in our 12th year homeschooling this year. Today I'm going to be sharing all about my February goals progress as well as what I have ahead for March. A little bit late, so let's get started. If you are new, I want to welcome you. I'm so happy that you are here. Every month I share about my goals and goals progress on my YouTube channel. I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Those are free ways that you can support me, and I appreciate all of your support. And if you would like to go a little bit deeper with help and encouragement and have a wonderful community surrounding you, I would love for you to come over and check out my Patreon community. I will have a link in the description box below. So February is over. We are into March at this point, and I have not actually even written out my goals for March. It is March 4th when I am recording this video. And that's okay, because February is a short month and March is kind of a longer month, I feel like. So the last week of February, first week of March, I feel okay with not having all of my goals at the ready. I thought that I would because my monthly reset was a little bit earlier in February, and so I thought I would have plenty of time to get my goals ready for March, but I just didn't do it. And honestly, February kind of felt like a really off month for me, and I know part of that is the weather. We started out February with some crazy cold weather. We ended up losing a chicken. We've had a ton of snow, and everybody's kind of over winter at this point. I saw an Instagram reel last night where this lady was, comparing how she feels about snow December 1st versus the end of February, and I definitely feel that. And towards the middle to end of February, we were having some conversation in the Patreon community about, seasonal affective disorder and just kind of the winter blues, I guess. And I realized that I had stopped taking my vitamin D probably right around Christmas, and not for any reason, just I forgot to take it. And then once I forgot to take it for a week or so, it didn't even register on my mind. So we live in Maine, we need some extra vitamin D. So I did start taking vitamin D again the past couple of weeks, and I'm feeling a lot better and more motivated. It could be that we've had a little bit of sun over the past couple of weeks. I'm not sure, but it was kind of a down month. However, when I look at my goals for February, I did quite well. And I think part of that is because I didn't have a ton on here working towards my yearly goals. Mainly because if you watched my last goals update video, you will know that I did the majority of my Q1 action plans. I completed those in January. So I kind of was floundering as I went into February as to what I wanted to work on. I knew that my big focus was still going to be decluttering the house, and honestly, that is going to continue through March, and I'm hoping to finish at the end of March. We shall see, so that April I can use for deep cleaning. But I did really struggle on my daily habits, and things that I normally do quite well with just did not go well this month. And so I'm going to go over all of February, and then I am going to actually set up March with you because, like I said, I have not set it up yet. So the first thing on my monthly action items was home declutter projects, and I actually printed out one of these little wild cards from the Goal School from Cultivate What Matters, because I have used the power sheets for years and years and years. This is the first year, I think since 2014 or 2015, that I have not used power sheets. I did purchase them, so I still have access to Goal School. So I printed this out. It's just a little organization and decluttering checklist, and that was because I don't need to list every single declutter project on here. It would be too much. Obviously, this is not a big enough page to list all of those things. And because this is more of like a top down of what I want to accomplish, so I just put home declutter projects, and then I just had this little list listing out the ones that I wanted to work on. Now, I did get 4 out of the 7 done. I did not do my master bedroom closet. I started the downstairs hall closet, and actually it is pretty much decluttered. I do want to go in and just kind of organize it a little bit better, but all of the medicine and things that I keep in there, cleaning supplies and stuff, that is all, it's all fine and Everything that is in there I actually need, so I don't want to get rid of anything, but I do need to kind of clean it up a little bit. And that closet, actually, I have not organized it at all really since we moved in. I just knew that's where I'm going to keep cleaning supplies and first aid supplies and things like that. So, and like extra soap and things, candles. So it's just shoved in there, but it's not organized. Yeah, so I do still need to go through that. And I also did not do the kids' closets. Now, I thought that I would do the master bedroom closet during our week off of homeschool. I did a bunch of decluttering around the house, but mainly I focused on getting Legos out of Jack's room and making a Lego table in the basement and getting some of the books reorganized in my office, the kids' school books. I have videos for all of that stuff that I will leave in the description box if you're interested in how I was doing my homeschool organization, sorting the Legos, getting things set up in the basement, and just trying to generally figure out book storage and homeschool storage. So master bedroom closet, hall closet, kids closets, they were dropped off. The other 4 were my entryway armoire, which I did, entryway closet I did, the fridge and freezer, which I did, and the office closet, which I also did, and I also have a video for. So those were my main focuses. And like I said, I did have some other decluttering projects that I ended up doing that were not on my list for February, but I just felt like I needed to get them done, and they took priority. The next thing on my monthly action items was my budget, which I did. I gave myself full credit for that. That is relating to my create and implement a slow money strategy goal in order to pay off debt and live a life I love and that my family loves. So I've been focusing a lot on budget this year, spend tracking, all of that stuff, and I've been doing quite a good job. It's a lot of work. I always do a budget, but the amount of detail that I'm putting into the spend tracking and categorizing expenses and where our money is going, I've really drilled down on the different categories. I know I've had a couple of people email me asking about how I budget, and I hope to come up with some sort of video in the future, because I really do feel like budgeting is so personal. Obviously, everybody has different life situations, different income, different expenses, different financial goals. So what works for me may not work for somebody else, but I do want to kind of put like a broad overview of how I do budgeting. I'm kind of a nerd. I was an accountant. I majored in economics in college, so I really do enjoy spreadsheets and those types of things. So I did my budget, my monthly reset I also did, and I thought that I would record that because I tend to vlog my monthly resets, but I didn't do that this past month, and I think that was mainly because I just felt like I had so much to do and I did not want to take the extra time to film it. So I didn't vlog my monthly reset this past month, and I have been doing that for many months at this point. I think I might have done it most of last year, and I just was at a point where I needed to get a lot of stuff done, and I did not want to focus on explaining things to the camera or moving the camera or changing camera angles or doing time lapse or any of that stuff. So I really did just sit down at my table and worked on planning and all of the things that were in my head. I just needed to get them out. And so that was very successful for me. And I definitely recommend putting yourself on the calendar so that you can do that. Mine is a Thursday every month, usually the 4th or last Thursday of the month. That's when I try to do my monthly reset. Taxes, I did my taxes right last weekend. I finished them. I'm so glad that they are done. I hate taxes, but you know, it's one of those things that you have to do. The next thing on my monthly action items was relating to my homeschool goal, which is to create an environment where passions are pursued. And that was to finish our first term of the second semester and then have our homeschool break and really evaluate how that went. And I'm going to have my homeschool update, so I will leave all of that chatting. But overall, we were really pleased with how this first 6-week term went, and it has given me a lot of food for thought as I'm thinking about planning next homeschool year. So that is finished as well. The next thing was a list of home projects, wants and needs, and then the costs associated with those things. And I have been keeping a list. I actually wrote it in the home planner from Passionate Penny Pincher. I just sat down because a lot of those things are things that I'm like, we need to do these things, but there's no real timeline, and it's not, some of the things are very necessary, really close, like we had another car repair this past month that we knew had to happen because we had to register the car and get it inspected and everything like that. So just listing out the different projects, things that we need, things that the kids need as the seasons start to change, clothes, that's part of why I need to go through the kids' closets, all of that stuff. I did make a list. I don't think it's complete. I did give myself full credit because I really did just brain dump all of the things that I felt like needed to be done around the house, in the next 3 to 6 months, spring and summer projects. But I want to drill down on that more in March, which will probably show up in my tending list for March. The next thing was monthly conferences with the kids, which I did do. This is something that I try to do monthly. I tend to do it after my monthly reset day, where I just sit down and ask the kids how they are doing with their school, if they need new resources, if there's a topic that they really are interested in, or things that they may want to explore further, and I make notes of those things. They don't always happen like right the next week, because it does take me a while to research and figure out which resources would be the best for my kids. But I always want to chat with them and see if there are things that they want to change, or if there are things that they are struggling with. In the day-to-day, I can see what's working and what's not working, based on their energy level, based on the quality of the work that they are putting out, based on their attitudes, all of that stuff. But a lot of times when I sit down individually with the kids, they will come up with a lot more information that I then sift through to make little adjustments for the next month. And I wanted to do that, and we did do that. The next thing was garden planning, which I did some of. I did not finish planning my garden for this summer, but I have a lot of ideas. I have some things that I want to research, and I have some things that I need to look into more, as well as evaluating which seeds I have, which I've used almost all of my seeds, so I do need to replenish some of them. I'm not sure if I'm going to put in a seed order, or if I will go and buy seeds at the greenhouse, which they carry seeds for where I usually purchase them online. So if they don't have specific varieties at the greenhouse, then I will place an order. But if I can save myself some shipping, I will do that. Then for the weekly action items, the first thing is relating to my business goal, which is to grow Townsend House, and that was to do the Patreon live stream and exclusive content. I am having such a great time, and I'm so pleased that I just started this in January, because I've been putting it off for a while. So it's been a lot of fun, and I am really enjoying it, and I hope you will join us. The next thing on my list was homeschool planning, which I only gave myself credit when I did it on Sunday. And so there was one week that I did not do it on Sunday. I actually did it on Monday. It was a rough week for me that week. And also my weekly planning is the next thing on my weekly action items, and I missed that week for weekly planning as well. February was rough for my typical rhythms that I have, and I noticed the difference. It was a struggle, and I didn't like that. The next thing on my weekly action items was budget and bills check-in, which I do every week. I recommend to check in with your bank accounts every week. This is spend tracking. This is making sure that we're on track for our budget goals for the month, all of that kind of stuff. The next thing is relating to my homeschool goal, and that is passion projects check-in with the kids. The first 6 weeks of our new homeschool term, we really focused on passion projects, and it was kind of like making sure that after they were done with their mom school stuff, you know, their normal everyday school, they were putting in time on their passion projects. And I just wanted to check in with them weekly to make sure that they were still progressing with those projects and that they didn't need new tools or resources. So I did that. It was a lot of fun. I shared some of those projects in the Patreon community if you're interested. The next thing on my list was sending out my email to my Townsend House community email newsletter, which I did every week. And then the last thing was a screen-free day, which again, we have been doing every week since we started January, since we started the new year. And it has been a lot of fun and I am enjoying it. It is very quiet when we have a screen-free day. And honestly, my introverted heart really needs that sometimes. I think that the kids, they are happy about it and unhappy about it. We are not a screen limiting family necessarily. A lot of my kids' passion projects relate back to technology. And so it's very hard for me to say, no, we're not doing that. It's also hard when they see that my work is mainly online. So as a caveat to that screen-free day, I am still checking in with my Patreon community in the morning, but I'm trying to stay off of screens for most of the day. And also, we're not really using screens for school, for homeschool on our screen-free day, which is a little bit different than I think most people would use a screen-free day for. We are finding alternative ways to do our online learning, things like printing out teaching textbooks lessons, things like doubling up on Spanish so that Emma does not have to do any videos on our screen-free day, not really doing any animation or video editing or any of those passion projects that my kids have, coding. Instead, what they're doing is writing ideas on actual paper, storyboards, drawing out character sketches, all of that kind of stuff so that then they can transfer that stuff into their technology tools when they are allowed to have screens again. Now, the daily habits I struggled with. My AM routine, I was really good at the beginning of the month and then pretty much just stopped from about the 13th through the 26th. And then I got the last couple of days of February, and that's just because we were coming back from our homeschool break. I felt better. I had started taking the vitamin D again. My PM routine, I did not do at all. One of the other wild cards that I printed out this past month was this My Daily Rhythms. And the purpose for this, I already do the majority of these morning rhythms, these AM routine type things, but I have wanted to implement a PM routine for several years and I have not ever been successful with it. And this month I was not at all successful with it either. And so I really had to sit down and consider, why do I always want to work on a PM routine? Well, partly because I see that other people have PM routines and that it's a way for them to wind down on the day and get prepared for the next day. And I think that that is really good. However, at the end of the day, I am not capable of doing these things that I want to do. Now, yoga with Emma is one that I can do in the evening, although we are not as good about it. Lately, we have been watching movies in the evening to wind down, she and I. So my one-line journal, I do tend to do that most days. Picture sorting, my brain's not in it at the end of the day. It should be. It's something that's very quick and easy that I can just go through the pictures that I took or videos that I took of the day and delete the ones that I don't need. I'm not even talking about transferring them to the computer. I'm just sorting them into keep or don't keep, but I have not been doing that. The next thing is journaling to my kids, which relates to my legacy goal, because I have 3 journals that I want to write to the kids in, write about memories that I have of them when they're younger, all of that kind of stuff, just letters to them that I can then give them when they are grown and leaving the house. I haven't done that. And I think that that is something that really needs more dedicated time. Maybe I ought to be doing that on a weekend morning where my AM routine is a little bit different. And then the last thing on my evening routine or PM routine checklist is reading fiction, which I do every day. And I've been doing that every day since I don't know, I think October of 2020, I think is when I started successfully. No, maybe it was August. I missed a few days at some point, but I think that it's been pretty consistent over the past couple of years. And that's really the only thing that I successfully do besides my end of the day hygiene, you know, brushing my teeth, flossing my teeth, fluoride, all of that stuff. But I was considering my why on the PM routine, and I just don't think that I need it. I want to wind down at the end of the day, and what I do to wind down is read. I do want to have a better structure of getting our kitchen closed down at the end of the day, but because everybody in my family tends to continue snacking and eating until 8 or 9 o'clock, and I'm pretty much done at 7. So either they need to pitch in to clean up the kitchen, or it's just going to have to continue to be something that I do the next day. So I'm going to kind of let the PM routine go for a little while. It may just be that this is not the right season for me to be implementing that. It might be that February was just a really bad month, and maybe things will get better as the sun stays out later. But for right now, I'm going to just drop the PM routine checklist and not think about it, because it's not really helping me at this point. I'm not dedicating the time that I need to it. So I'm just going to let that PM routine go for now, and we will see what happens as the months go on this year, because it is something that I feel like I need to do, but maybe I just need to think about it in a different way and put those other tasks at another point in my weekly rhythm. The next thing on my daily habits was my Patreon check-in, which I did every day. The next thing was spend tracking, which I did most days. There was about a week in the middle of the month around when my husband gets paid that I was kind of just not doing anything because we weren't spending any money. So I guess I could have probably given myself credit for it, but then I spent a lot of time doing my month wrap up in the middle of the month for my budget and all of that stuff. Exercising, I started out the month really good and did, I was walking like every day for the first 10 days, and then I just stopped. And then I picked it up again after our homeschool break. I'm doing better, but obviously this is only through February 28th. And then the last thing on my list was to read every day, which I do. I read every day this read habit does not need to be on here, but it is a guaranteed check mark for me. And so I always put it down. And I do want to remind myself to read for pleasure, because I do read a lot for business, and I read a lot for my kids and researching, homeschooling, and all of that stuff. But I want to make sure that I'm still reading for myself as well. And I did do that. So that was my February. That was really long. Now what I'm going to do is turn the camera around, and we are going to go through setting up March together. Okay, here we are in March, and first, obviously, I have to set up my spread for the month, which looks like this: monthly action items or projects, weekly action items, daily habits. So that's what I'm going to work on first. Gosh, I should have used a ruler instead of the bottom of this folder, but that's okay. We are not about perfection in this at all. So I do set up some of my March stuff in here. I have some ideas. I don't always do this, but I noticed that I do better putting this together if I do some prep work in my goal planner first. My goal planner is literally just this lined notebook. I have just a bunch of stuff in here. So it gives me a place to sort of jot down ideas. And then when I sit down to do my actual goals, I can go through my ideas and figure out what I actually want to work on for the month ahead. You can call it like a brain dump notebook or something like that. And not everything that I write down ends up being on this list. Like I've said before, this is more of a top down of what needs to be done in order for me to feel like I'm making progress in my goals. My goals are definitely very relationship oriented. And this year they are a lot of systems, rhythms, making sure that I am really utilizing my time well and finding a use for the space that I have in my home and not being overburdened with the amount of space or the amount of stuff that I have. So a lot of that comes through in my different tasks for the month. I've seen some people talk about what's the difference between like a to-do list item and like a project that is working towards your goals. And I think that there's a lot of gray area there. And I think that's mainly because some of the things that I have to do that are, you know, a project for the month, they may not specifically be working on something on this goals list, but the project itself is something to help me bring myself time for closer relationships. And so that's, you know, that's kind of how I view it. There are definitely things on the list that maybe don't line up exactly with one of these, but the fact that I have this space to put it on is helpful, and it helps me to manage my time, knowing how much time I have. So if I put something down like garden planning and a timeline for garden planning, that isn't necessarily it's not really working towards a specific goal. That is one of my monthly projects. I'm putting it in my continue to pursue my passions by cleaning up rhythms and routines and taking time for what I consider important. So it will go under this goal category, but it doesn't necessarily fit under there, but it is something that just needs to be done. And I know that it will take some planning time for me, so it works for me to put it here. So the first thing I am going to do is write down what my priority for this month is. And my priority for this month is honestly finishing up the home declutter projects that I've been talking about for the past few months, maybe longer. I am not writing all of the declutter projects down here. Similar to what I did last month, although I did not finish this list, I wrote down another list, and obviously this is significantly longer than this, well, not significantly, a couple tasks longer than this, than last month's list, but these are all the remaining places that I need to kind of touch on. Some of them will not take me that long. For instance, the art bureau, I have essentially finished this. There is still stuff in that bureau that I've talked about in the past that is in our dining room, and it holds all of our art supplies. I actually moved those into one of the kitchen cabinets. If you saw my kitchen decluttering video, you will know that my kitchen cabinets are mostly empty because we don't have a whole lot of dishes or anything to go in them, and I don't feel a need to fill them up with anything. So instead what I'm doing is using some of the empty cabinets for art supplies. I do still need to get some more containers to hold some things, but I did go through like all the crayons and markers and paint and paintbrushes and all of that stuff. So that stuff is all organized in a cabinet already, but there are some other just random things in that bureau. A lot of it is junk. A lot of it is each kid has a drawer and they just put stuff in it, but I want to get rid of the bureau altogether. And so I need to finish cleaning that out. And then they're not like super big tasks. It's not cleaning out my whole master bedroom. It's just the master bedroom closet. And then we have eaves in some of our rooms upstairs that we use for storage. So that is a separate task. So all of these projects are on this list. Then the next thing that I want to work on is the spring projects list. And this is kind of a continuation from last month. I think it was, let me see what I did. Yeah, so I had a home projects, wants, needs list and costs just kind of long term what I wanted to do over the next year. But I need to narrow that down and make a list of things that I need and want to do in the next few months. Primarily the first one is actually going to be my garden planning. But the garden planning needs its own line because it is going to take me a while. I need to sit down with Jack and figure out what his ideas are. I found a website, I can't recall what the name of it is at this moment, that kind of, if you put in your zip code, it gives you plant dates for the majority of vegetables, and so I do want to go through that. I know around when I plant most things, but I was thinking about doing a few new vegetables. I'm really focusing on winter storage and what we can preserve for the winter months, so I want to make sure that I know what I can plant when, especially for subsequent plantings. I have been gardening for, I think I planted my first garden in 2006, but I'm definitely not a master gardener. I mean, I don't know if you could ever qualify yourself as one unless you do it full time, but I've never done like a subsequent planting of something later on in the season. And I know that you can, especially for things like green beans and cucumbers and carrots and things like that, but I just don't know the timeline for those things, and so I need to look at that. Then I also am going to put my monthly reset on here. So I'm going to put my monthly reset for the 31st, which is actually quite late, and I may regret doing that, but I am going to put it late this month because March is definitely a longer month. Obviously, I'm putting this video up late, but we do have 4 full weeks of March left, so I feel like that will be good. And also, I think the reason that I want to do this right at the end of March is because we will be almost finished with our homeschool year. We really only have, at the end of March, we'll really only have about 3 weeks of work left for Emma and Jack. Lucy will be done right in the first week in April, and so I really want to finish strong and make sure that I'm getting everything done. So I want to wait to do my reset to right at the end of the month, so I am mainly focusing on school stuff. And then I also want to do my seasonal goals refresh, and I thought that I would do this at the beginning of March, but as I was thinking back to previous years, it's really only the summer refresh that I tend to do a little bit earlier. So I will do my seasonal goals refresh probably, I don't know if I will wait right until my monthly reset. That would typically be the day that I work on goal stuff, but I think that I'm probably going to work on it maybe the last week in March or the second to last week in March, just to kind of get my head prepared for April and May. And then June, July, and August, I do really treat as summer months in Maine. And so I will probably do a seasonal refresh again towards the end of May, thinking ahead to the summer months. So I want to make sure that I do that. And then I want to also work on implementing a new weekly planning system. And that is because the home planner, which I purchased from Passionate Penny Pincher, is really not working for me. And I think that I just need to let it go. I did print out this week's printable, and the PDF version, the digital version of this planner, you also get when you buy the physical version. They do sell it separately as well, but it has a Monday start date version. And I know that you can't buy the physical planner with a Monday start date. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this as well as some of these other things, the weekly home project schedule, and then the yard and home maintenance checklist and the spring cleaning checklist. I'm going to kind of go over these things. What I'm actually going to do this month is try and go back and use my Erin Condren weekly life planner. And I haven't used this since last year. I've been using the printables from the home planner as well as the actual home planner, but it hasn't been working. I really need this vertical format, and I really need the Monday start date. My brain has not been able to work with the horizontal planning or a Sunday start, and it's just not worth it to me to keep trying to adjust things. So what I'm going to do, if I get all of my pages, is I'm going to use this weekly printout to kind of give myself an idea of tasks that I ought to be doing each day. This is my to-do section, and it's more of a general overview, like a focus area, or things that I know that need to be done throughout the week. And I use this as I'm working through my daily planning, which I think is probably part of the reason that the other planner is not working, because I have not referred to it while I'm using my daily planner. And then using the weekly home project schedule, because I really love this part of the home planner and I want to continue doing this, coming up with a project for each week. They do repeat once you get to the second half of the year, which I didn't realize when I purchased the planner. I thought that every week had its own project for the entire year, but I'm going to utilize this also in my weekly planning. Wish me luck, guys. And the reason that I'm doing this now is because the new life planners from Erin Condren will be coming out probably April, May, I would imagine, when they normally come out. And I want to figure out if I'm going to purchase a new life planner this year, or if I'm going to continue utilizing just the daily planner and then maybe having just a weekly task list, or making a printable for myself, which I've done in the past, or having one of those desk pads that just has Monday through Sunday on it so I can list home management type things. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do there. So that's why it says implement new weekly planning. I probably should have said plan new weekly planning first, or figure out how I'm going to use it. Haven't gotten that far. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to do relating to pursuing my passions by cleaning up rhythms and routines is to put together a morning basket for myself. And typically in the winter, I don't have a morning basket, but sometimes I will start to feel like I need one, and I do kind of feel like I need one now. So I'm going to put together a morning basket, and we'll see what I end up putting in it. And that's mainly so that I can continue to work on my daily rhythms. My morning routine, I want to include some nonfiction reading, and unless I have it right in front of me, I don't pick it up. So I think that if I have my morning basket in the living room at the ready, I can get started on my morning and not waste any time. That is my hope anyways. And because I've noticed over February, I am doing my morning routine, but I still have extra time and I'm not utilizing it well. And so instead what I do is I will just scroll through Instagram or look on YouTube. And while those things are absolutely fine, and I think that doing those things in the morning before my kids are awake is totally fine, I know that these are also my most productive hours, and it makes more sense to me if I am actually utilizing them for productive things rather than wasting the time. I can waste time later in the afternoon when my brain is fried, but I need to use the time when I am alert and focused for more important things. Yes. The next thing on my list is my Patreon exclusive content for this month. And in my Patreon community, they are asking for more information about home rhythms and routines. And so I'm going to be putting out a bunch of content all focused around the different rhythms that I have and systems that I have in place to kind of make my life work a little bit easier. This is not a prescription for for everybody to do exactly what I do, but I do find that it's really valuable to see what other people do as they're trying to figure out what will work best for them. So I will be putting together that Patreon exclusive. I can't write and talk at the same time. I will be putting that together. If you are interested in that content, I will leave a link in the description box, and I would love for you to join us. It's really a great group. I have a lot of fun with it. So, okay, that is my only monthly project for Townsend House. And then the next monthly project that I have is Consider Legacy. And this is because legacy is one of my goals. And I do have some tasks and things that I want to do focused on legacy. A lot of it is memory keeping. A lot of it is letters to my kids and really focusing on that, as well as pictures and all of that kind of stuff. However, I am not doing a good job at figuring this out and how to put it into my weekly rhythm. This is like a whole new weekly rhythm that I need to figure out, and so I need to just sit down for a couple of days and brainstorm what does it look like and where in my day can I put these things that I want to do so that they are actually getting done. Obviously, last month I thought that I would put them all in an evening routine, but that is not working. Obviously, I don't have a great PM routine except for reading and, general end of the night hygiene or whatever. And I do really value the idea of habit stacking, and I wasn't really considering that when I wrote out my PM routine list last month. So what I really need to do is just sit down and consider legacy, what I actually want to do. If it's something where I just want to take time, once a week and work on it, if it's something where I want to work on it once a month, if I'm putting too much pressure on myself to try and do something daily. I think that's part of it at this point. Perhaps it's something that I will be able to implement better as the months are warmer and the sun is shining and I'm in a better mood overall because it's not so cold and snowy. That is also on my list. And then the final monthly project that I have is my niece's birthday is this month. And so I need to make sure that I get her a present. Then for my weekly rhythms, okay, so I have changed the titles of these sections: monthly projects, weekly rhythms, daily habits. And I did that, I don't know why I did that. When I was putting together my lists, I just felt like it worked better instead of action items for monthly and weekly. Because weekly, when I'm doing something weekly, it really is a rhythm that I'm getting into. A monthly action item is a project that I need to work on within the month. It might take multiple days, but it's not something that I'm doing weekly. And the same with the daily habits. Well, I've called them daily habits for quite a while. Let me just put my progress bars here. So I don't know if changing the titles is going to do anything with my motivation. I feel like I have been doing quite well with keeping up with my tending list, and part of that is because I haven't been doing too many things on my tending list. I've been kind of judicious with my time, making sure that I have enough time to get things done. Yeah. So anyways, okay, so the first thing that I have on my weekly rhythms is Sunday planning. And this is obviously going to go with my implement new weekly planning goal. We will see how it goes. The next thing is homeschool planning and research for next year. Oh my goodness, there is a lot to look at. The homeschool planning part is planning for this current year. The research is for next year's planning. it is going to take me a while to finish all of that, and that's okay. I take a long time to consider resources. I know there are people that are able to do it in a weekend. That is not me. I really take a long time to focus on resources, and I'm okay with that. So to each their own. For my Townsend House community, I want to make sure I'm sending out my email. And then the Patreon live stream, we do a live stream pretty much every week, either a co-working session where we're picking a project to work on individually, but with the chat open for encouragement and questions. And then also I do a Q&A each month. If you have questions about curriculum, or you need help planning out your days, or just want general encouragement, all of that stuff, I am available in the live stream, and those are also available for like a replay after if you're not able to make it live. Then the next thing on my list is spend tracking, and that is relating to my financial goal. I didn't write budget up here. I probably should have. It is something that I will do, so I guess I probably don't need to write it on this list. But sometimes it's nice to just have the reminder. And then the last thing is part of my legacy goal, and that is family fun. I had a lot of plans for February to get out and do some things. The kids want to go ice skating and do some other random trips, but it's been so snowy. I know we really wanted the snow like December, and even at the beginning of January there was just no snow. We just had bare ground and a lot of warm temperatures, which was nice, but now we have a ton of snow. It's March and we are ready to move on to spring. So I would appreciate the seasons staying where they ought to be and not shifting. Okay, and then for daily habits, my habits are going to be very similar to what they normally are. I'm going to put my AM routine, and then again I will get a check mark if I'm actually doing these things. And I have Patreon check-in on my daily rhythm as well as on my daily habits in my goals as well. It's probably overkill, but I like to have it in multiple places. It reminds me to actually do it. Patreon. And then I also have to check in with Maine Homeschool Network, which is my Facebook group for Maine homeschoolers, where you can ask questions or whatever you want to do. We have like 5,800 members, and it's a great community of homeschoolers in Maine. If you're interested, I will leave a link for that group in the description box if you're a Maine homeschooler. There are some questions that you need to answer in order to join, but if you answer them, I will most likely accept you into the group. The next thing on my daily habits is read. I do not need to put this on my list. I've been saying that for quite a while, but I still do it. I still do it, and it is fun. Okay, and then I want to make sure that I am checking in with my friends and family, which I was not good about in February. And I think that was mainly just because I was in a crap mood most of the month. So it is what it is. I am only going to put 4 boxes for weeks because when this video is going up, it's going to be the 6th, I think, of March. So we're already a week into the month, which is crazy. I don't know if anybody else feels like the month has been going by really fast, but my kids and I think that all of the weeks are going quite fast. Not the month, the year. We can't believe it's already March. Yeah. So this is where we are at for my goals for March. Now on this side, what I will do is I usually put what I'm watching, and this is if there are movies that are coming out or TV shows or anything. that I want to watch. I'm not sure if there's anything coming out in March. I know that in April, the Super Mario movie is coming out. My kids really want to see that, but I'm not entirely sure if there's anything else coming out in March that I want to see. Emma and I have been watching mainly movies from the 90s and early 2000s in the evenings. We went through, watched A Discovery of Witches, which was good too. I fast forwarded all the bad parts, so don't worry about that. Okay, and then focus areas for the month. What am I going to do for focus areas? I think this week is going to be mostly, I have some appointments, and so that's going to make homeschooling a little more challenging, and I'm not going to have as much time to actually focus on projects around the house. So I think that I will put my spring projects here and garden, because that will be easy to do while I'm waiting at appointments and such. For the next week, I'm going to focus on declutter. Then the last week I know is going to be monthly reset and the seasonal goals refresh. And then the third week, I'm going to make sure that we are on track with homeschool, because I know that we don't have anything going on that week, I don't think. So I'm going to really focus hard on homeschooling that week. Okay, and then this section is to buy, and I don't know if there's any big things that we are needing to focus on in March. Oh, that's not true. We have our half pig. We have driver's ed, and I think those are the only two things that I have to focus on this month. Although now that I say that, I'm going to evaluate kids' spring and summer, and Emma will probably need, and Jack, oh, and Lucy, new sneakers. The kids don't stop growing, do they? Okay, so this is March goals. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about what I talked about, please let me know in the comments, or you can email me. My contact form is always in the description box. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are looking for more help and encouragement, definitely check out our Patreon community. I would love to have you join us over there. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.